In a serene village where every whisper told a story, there was a man whose presence could light up the darkest corners, John, the pharmacist. His smile once brightened even the bleakest days, embodying warmth and kindness. But what happens when such kindness becomes a heavy burden, when the heart that once offered warmth becomes cold from betrayal? This is the tale of John, a cherished pharmacist whose boundless generosity was his greatest gift, until it became his downfall. As the village's affection turned to disdain, one haunting question remained: how far can a kind heart be pushed before it shatters completely? Prepare to delve into the heart-wrenching story of the fall of a kind heart. Thanks for your time. Before we jump into Chapter 1, I want you to know that this story and artwork are connected in an incredible way. Stay with me till the end to see how it all ties together, and who knows, you might just want this masterpiece hanging in your space. In the tranquil village where everyone's life intertwined, lived John, a man whose heart was as warm as the sun itself. John, the village pharmacist, was adored for his infinite kindness and gentle spirit. Each morning, he arrived at the pharmacy with a smile that could melt even the coldest hearts. John's demeanor was a balm to the soul. Those who spoke with him felt an unparalleled sense of comfort. The villagers loved him deeply, and his boss held him in high regard. John's humility extended far beyond his duties. On weekends, he helped his boss with household chores, sweeping floors, washing the car, tasks done selflessly, expecting nothing in return. John's reputation for kindness spread beyond the village, drawing visitors from neighboring towns to his flourishing pharmacy. The steady growth pleased his boss, who rewarded John with more responsibilities and a raise. Despite his success, John remained humble, always placing others before himself. Little did he know, the weight of his kindness was about to become a crushing burden. As days passed, the demand for John's help grew. The very villagers who once revered his kindness began exploiting it. Many sought medicine on credit, promising to repay later. Trusting and generous, John agreed, never anticipating that many would fail to return. The mounting unpaid debts began to take their toll, yet John couldn't bring himself to refuse anyone in need. He believed in the inherent goodness of people, convinced they would honor their promises. But as the debts piled up, John felt the weight of their broken promises pressing down on him. One evening, after a grueling day, John reviewed the pharmacy's accounts. The figures didn't add up. He realized a significant portion of his stock was given away on credit, with little chance of repayment. A knot of worry tightened in his chest, but he pushed it aside, convincing himself he was doing the right thing by helping others. Still, the burden of unpaid debts lingered, a constant reminder of the fragility of his once unwavering goodwill. As the month drew to a close, John's boss arrived for a stock check. A meticulous man, he noticed the missing medication and summoned John, his voice trembling with anger. "Where are the missing drugs?" he demanded, eyes sharp with suspicion. John hesitated, his heart racing. "They were borrowed," he explained, "by some people in the village." "And who are these people?" the boss pressed, his patience wearing thin. John's voice faltered as he replied, "About 20 people from our community." The boss's face reddened with rage. "Do you want to ruin my business? You're no longer of any use to me," he snapped. The words pierced John, leaving him feeling small and insignificant. Without further discussion, the boss decided to deduct the cost of the missing drugs from John's salary, plunging him into despair. From that moment on, John resolved never to extend credit again. His trust in people was shattered, replaced by bitterness and a hardened heart. John's decision to cease offering credit marked a profound change. His once warm heart grew cold, hardened by the betrayals he had endured. No longer did he greet the villagers with a friendly smile. His demeanor became distant, his interactions curt and impersonal. One day, a young man named David burst into the pharmacy, tears streaming down his face. "Please, I need your help," he pleaded. "My father, Mr. Nkansa, is gravely ill. He's dying. Please give me some medicine. I promise I'll pay you back." But John's heart had turned to stone. "Your father has owed me for almost 2 years," he replied coldly. "I'm not giving you anything until he pays what he owes. Go tell him that." David's face crumpled in despair, his voice trembling. "But please, John, he's really sick." John remained unmoved. "No money, no medicine," he said, turning away from David. That night, Mr. Nkansa passed away. The news of Mr. Nkansa's death spread like wildfire. Whispers turned into accusations, and soon fingers were pointing at John. The villagers who once held him in high regard now looked at him with contempt. They stopped coming to the pharmacy. When John ventured out, he could feel their cold stares and hear their hushed judgments. The village that once celebrated him now shunned him, leaving John to grapple with the crushing weight of guilt and shame. Rumors spread, painting John as heartless and greedy. Others whispered that he had lost his way, consumed by bitterness. The isolation gnawed at John, deepening his despair with each passing day. Overwhelmed by shame and guilt, John could no longer bear the village's scorn. The weight of their hatred crushed his spirit, and one night he quietly packed his belongings and left, vanishing into the darkness. The pharmacy that once represented his pride now stood empty, a silent testament to the life he had left behind. As John walked away from the village, he reflected on the journey that led him to this point. He had once believed in the goodness of people, but that belief was shattered by relentless betrayal. The village that had been his home was now the place that had broken him. John left behind the life he had built with compassion, carrying with him the heavy burden of regret and sorrow. In this poignant artwork, we follow John, the once beloved pharmacist, as he desperately runs from the village that has turned against him. The vibrant red on his shirt signifies the suffocating guilt that clings to him, a haunting reminder of Mr. Nkansa's tragic death and the life that slipped through his fingers. Behind him, the pharmacy stands as a solemn testament to his past, a place where compassion and care once thrived, now overshadowed by the storm of regret that follows him. The barrier marked Mr. Nkansa looms ominously, symbolizing the man John could not save, a constant reminder of his failure that haunts him. Ahead, the dark, foreboding forest represents his frantic escape from a community that no longer welcomes him. The storm rages, mirroring the chaos within his soul, while the relentless rain washes away the last traces of the kind-hearted man he once was. Each step into the shadows pulls him further from the life he cherished, plunging him deeper into a chasm of guilt and isolation. This artwork encapsulates the deep sorrow and regret of John's fall from grace. It invites you to reflect on the powerful emotions intertwined within the narrative. Don't miss your opportunity to own this deeply moving piece. Use the link in the description to bring John's story into your home. Let it serve as a poignant reminder of the burdens we carry and the profound impact of our choices, resonating with your heart each time you gaze upon it.